And started the recording. Yes. So can you tell me from which place Birsa Munda is? Who was Birsa Munda? He was one of the tribal rebels.
Leaders of
He was a tribal leader of the rebel. Okay. So now, which particular area did he belong to in India? Do you know that? Last year you studied about him. Birsa Munda. Who can tell me? 8th C. You have done a role play on his life. He belonged to the
Northeast, ma'am.
no, very wrong. Soha and anybody? Ritwij among the boys. Chota
Ma'am,
Nagpur.
Munda tribe.
Chhattisgarh.
Munda
Anup.
Chota
Anup.
Chhattisgarh.
Yes,
And he
he
was the
belonged.
leader of Munda.
Yeah, he was a leader of the Munda
Chhattisgarh.
tribe, and he
Bihar
belonged
and
to the
Jharkhand.
yes, mainly the
Bihar
Chota
and
Nagpur.
Jharkhand.
Yeah, Bihar, mainly the Jharkhand area, the Chota Nagpur plateau. Similarly, we have other tribal leaders like Eluri Sitaram Raju was from Andhra Pradesh, and we have Sidhu and Kanu Murmu from the Santhals. The Santhals are the tribe is mainly in West Bengal. Now here I have a question again, one more question for all of you. Why do you think most of the tribal rebellions happened by the late 19th and the early 20th century? Can anyone answer this
Ma'am,
question?
because it was the time
Because
when
the
British
government
started
was
to
not
exploit
aligned
them
for
at most levels.
And because forests were covered
government
into
was
First of all, I don't want any
Forest
answer in
become
chorus, only
reserved.
one student at a time. Yes. Nilay, you can answer.
ma'am, because the government were stopping them from their own activities, so they were
What kind of
revolting
activities?
against the government.
What kind of activities?
Increasing the tax revenue.
Hunting.
Ma'am, they reserved the forest and did not allow anyone to enter
Very
them.
good, very good. As per the
and the
new act,
forests were divided into three parts.
yes, the first
Reserved
act was passed
forest.
in 1865, right? And the amendment of this act, the Indian Forest Act, happened in the year 1878, and the next it happened in 1927. But when the amendment happened in the year 1878, there were new rules set for the management of forests. First of all the forests were divided into three categories: reserved forests, protected forests, and village forests. So now these tribals, they were prohibited to enter the reserve forest completely, and they were not allowed to hunt, to fish, or take anything from the reserve forest. They were not even allowed to enter. They could only enter the village forest where they were living and doing the shifting cultivation. Again, they were stopped to do shifting cultivation, so there was no way to sustain their life. There was no means of livelihood for them. So that led to a lot of resentment among the tribal people. Now, my question was, why do you think the most of the tribal rebellions happened by the end of the 19th century and early 20th? Is because during that time, they started realizing the consequences of the enactment of the Indian Forest Act was felt by the tribals. They were finding it very difficult to live, acquire their everyday things from the forest, and they were not allowed to live just like they used to live earlier before the acts were enacted. So that's why when many harsh laws were passed, so by the late 19th century, they started becoming very, very angry. And that's when most of the tribal rebellions have happened, not only in India, in almost all parts of the country, wherever forest laws were enacted, not only in our country, but it happened in most of the other countries also. Apart from Bastar, which is a case study from India, we will look at the case study of Java in Indonesia, the Java Islands in Indonesia, where similar situations were there. Most of the plantations were prepared for growing durable timber for building the ships and railway sleepers. Okay, so the same problems were there in both in the and the time was also similar, around 1907 to 1910. Okay, now I'll come to this particular map. Children, from exam point of view, this map is very much important. You may have to mark Bastar in the year 2000. It's mentioned in your textbook also. This particular area, the south of Chhattisgarh, If you talk about the geography, the geographical location of Bastar, here you can mark in the southern part of the Chhattisgarh state of India had 3 main districts: Kanker district, Bastar district, and Dantewada. Okay, so now all 3 were joined together to make one large district, which was known as Bastar in the year 2000. So this is important from the exam point of view. So please make a note of it, and it is mentioned in your textbook also. Om Jagtap, you want to say something? You're raising your hand. If you don't have a query, don't raise your hand.
No, ma'am, by mistake.
Okay. Okay, all right. So
No,
this
ma'am, by mistake.
okay, it's okay. So now this map is very important. Please make a note of this map. When we talk about the geographical location of Bastar, Bastar is located in the southernmost part of Chhattisgarh, and it has its the borders merged with Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Maharashtra in India. You can see that by looking at this map. So its boundaries, they are similar boundaries with Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and it shares its boundaries with Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Maharashtra. The central part of Bastar is on a plateau. So which means this particular area, which is in yellow, is like a plateau. To the north of this plateau is the Chhattisgarh plain. Which particular plain? It is the Godavari river plain. Children, you must be aware Godavari river flows into the Bay of Bengal. Okay, and it has its delta near the Bay of Bengal, and it is also known as the Dakshin Ganga, because it is also considered it is the second longest river of India, so it is known as the Dakshin Ganga. Now, when we talk about Bastar and the entire district of Bastar, one of the most important tributary of the Godavari river is the Indravati river. So it flows from east to west. Okay, this particular tributary flows east to west in the Bastar area. So which particular river flows through this area is Godavari river and its tributary Indravati river. Okay, and the Godavari river, it originates from Mahabaleshwar in Maharashtra. You already know, here in Pune, nearby Pune, Maharashtra, Mahabaleshwar, it originates, and then it goes into Karnataka, and then it flows down into the Bay of Bengal, and it is also known as the Dakshin Ganga of India and the second longest river of India. Okay, and apart from that, if we talk about the communities, which all communities are living in Bastar? So we have 4 main communities that are living in Bastar. They are the Gonds, the Gond tribe, the Dhurvas tribe, the Bhatras tribe, and the Halbas. Okay, आपके टेक्स्ट बुक में भी दिया है, यही 4 जो ट्राइब्स है ये यहाँ पे मेनली रहते हैं. Okay, Gonds, Dhurvas,
Ma'am, can you please repeat? Nothing is
Halbas. Don't worry, I will share this video with you. You will be able to listen at that time. Okay. All right. So I'll just give you further information. Which particular languages? What languages are spoken in this area? Mainly their own tribal. These main 4 tribal communities are living here. So they have their own native tribal languages. So they'll speak. They have their own customs and belief system. So when we talk about the customs and belief system of the people of Bastar, they feel that each village was given to its land by the earth. They believe in worshipping the mother earth. Okay, and they believe that land and the forest has been given to them by the earth. So they should respect the earth and they should take care of the forest. And also they have certain customs wherein they have some agricultural festivals where they make some offerings to the mother earth, because it is the mother earth which has provided them with all these resources for their survival. In addition to the earth, they also show respects to certain forest spirits. Okay, as I told you last year when I was teaching you about the tribals in India, I was telling you that they have an egalitarian society, the tribals. We studied that in understanding marginalization in the civics lesson, that the tribals, they don't have a caste based society just like the Hindus have. What kind of society they have? They have an egalitarian society where everybody is treated equally. And they don't have any specific gods, or they have their own customs and belief system. Mainly they worship the village, the spirits. Which particular kinds of spirits do they worship? They worship the river, they worship the forest, the spirit of forest, they worship the spirit of mountain, and all these different kinds of spirit worship is being performed by the tribals of the Bastar area.
Only 3 minutes are left now.
Okay, I'm back. It's okay. There's a problem with the connection, but let's be patient.
Ma'am, only 3 minutes left. What
It's
are we gonna do?
It's okay. Let me at least complete the first part of the third section. All right. So now when we talk, children,
Okay,
we
ma'am.
talk about the villages in these forests. The villages have their own local boundaries. There are sparsely located villages are there in the district of Bastar, and what they do is the local people look after all the natural resources within that boundary. Suppose you are living in a particular village, so you will take care of your own village and its resources. And if you go to a nearby village and if you borrow anything from their forest, so you have to pay some kind of a fees. Okay, you have to pay some kind of a small fee, which is known as the Devasari, Dand, or Man in exchange. Children, they have something known as some kind of a barter system also they follow. For example, if any villager has come to your village, and if that villager has borrowed something from your forest, so he will provide some kind of a free service also. Some household work he will do for you, or he will pay some money to you. So this is the way how trade relations also happen between the villages inside the district of Bastar. Okay, every year there is also a one big hunt where the headmen of villages in a pargana. What is a pargana? Pargana is a cluster of villages. It is a group of villages, so they have these festivals wherein all the village headmen they assemble and they do this festival of a big hunt. Okay, and not only that, when they all meet, they talk about how to conserve their forests, how to protect their forests, how to they discuss many issues of concern, including the forests. Children, now this covers the first section of the third section of the rebellion in the forest. I will continue tomorrow in the next class. Okay, and the class test will be on next Friday. Okay, am I clear here? The class test is on next Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tomorrow I will continue with this particular section and we'll try to finish the lesson tomorrow. Okay, there was a connectivity problem, so we'll continue tomorrow. Okay,
Ma'am,
all right then. Yes,
ma'am,
any questions? Yes.
ma'am, we have to connect in Google Classroom for test.
I will inform you about that, how to do it. Don't do that. Don't share your screen, please.
Oh.
Don't share your screen. Please close. Beta, I will show you how to conduct the test. Okay, close your screen. Who's that?
Okay.
Yash Wagade.
Yash, please close your
Yes,
screen.
yes.
I will guide you. I will give you the steps how I will be conducting the class test. And also tomorrow, let us finish with this lesson, because some of the children are still not ready for the class test. Okay. All right, then I'll see you
Okay,
tomorrow
ma'am.
then. Okay. All right then. Bye.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
ma'am.